Whoa! Are you serious? Did you guys see that? Woo! Week 1 was a barn burner. Jason, you put up a heck of a fight. You can't get by me. I'm the commish. Woo! Here we are, boys. It's round 2. Round 2 of the playoffs. You like that? Brought it out special just for you guys. I mean, considering Mario and Kyle are the only ones that watch these anyway. So I hope you guys enjoy that. But here we are. It's round 2. Down to the final 4. This is almost more exciting than the college football playoffs. Or even the final 4 in basketball. This is where it's at. We should be on TV or something. So, it's round 2. Down to the last 4 guys. But screw it. There's nothing to say here. I'm bringing in a special guest. Back by somewhat popular demand. It's the fill-in host, the substitute, if you will. Not a substitute teacher. No, it's not Jason, because he's out. See ya. Back by popular demand. The substitute fill-in host, manager of the Dongshank Redemption, number 1 seed, number 1 in your hearts, number 1 in the playoff bracket, Scott Pogmiller.
Oh, hey, I can do some dancing too. Is this people still do this anymore?
Heck yeah, that's what they do at the clubs.
I have my tablet here. That's what all the important news anchor people these days are doing.
I see. You wanted to bring a script. Okay.
Well, I gotta have my matchups and my information to look back on.
Sure.
You know, if I get caught in a tight spot and can't think of what to say.
That's true.
Boom.
You don't want to just stumble over yourself. I understand. Was that Chumbawamba, by the way?
That was the Chumba. Often overlooked. I mean, everybody remembers that song, but I mean, if you ask like 100 people on the street who the artist was, maybe 3 would probably be able to correctly identify Chumbawamba.
Right. I mean, that was like their 3rd or 4th biggest hit, wasn't it?
Oh man, it was their only hit as far as I'm concerned. Just kidding. Amnesia was another great song.
You should probably dial that up real quick so we can hear it.
What do you think? Do I have this like a tablet here at my disposal to look up songs?
I mean, I just assumed. I mean, you're Scott Pogmiller for crying out loud.
No, but there's a meaning behind that song. It's been quite the season.
It has been, hasn't it?
Yes, absolutely. I really don't know what to say. Looking at the standings, it would suggest that I've been fortunate to not have a ton of points scored against me. Mm-hmm. But in fairness, I've put up a decent amount myself. Not the points leader by any means, but no slouch in that category.
It has been a crazy year for points. Two individuals jumped over the previous record for points in a season.
Oh, really?
Which has lasted since year 1.
Oh, a statistician.
Which is
Brown, the commish.
It's very interesting because in year 1 we didn't use decimal points. We didn't have fractions, so you didn't score as many points as you could have.
I see.
So I'm surprised that the record has lasted 5 seasons.
Over the course of those seasons, all those fractional points must add up to like at least 20 points.
Yeah, I mean 20 points
spread out among all owners.
Sure. Yeah. Either way, I mean 1 yard's 1 point.
Mm-hmm.
A 10th of a point. But anyway, Scott, that's in the past. We don't need to worry about that. You should dial up some music because I'm kind of in a brain fart here. So.
Okay. Well, this I feel like would be the song that goes best with your season.
Okay. This should be good.
That's not the right song. I apologize.
What are you trying to say here, Scott?
I think we're a little bit too reliant on theme music during this weekly preview.
Who the hell is this guy?
We should, let's just get into the matchups.
Oh, we should get right down to it. Sure.
There's not that many to review this week, but I think that means we can go more in depth
we will.
for each one. Starting first with the consolation round.
The consolation round. We're going to get into your guys' matchups. Psych!
Yeah, nobody wants to hear about that, so yeah, we'll move
However, I do want to point out that, Dave had already won the Dong Trophy, but, he was playing Zach last week in the first round of the consolation, and, he could have saved some face, beat Zach during at least, head-to-head matchup, but nope, Dave scored about 60 points and lost to Zach, who hasn't even set his lineup for about 4 weeks.
I mean, the best case scenario was he won that game, but even at that point, if you're going to brag to people about beating somebody in the consolation round, boy, you've really hit rock bottom, and it ended up being a non-factor. He scored 60 points and lost, just really throwing some extra salt into the wound, but thus cementing his status as the rightful Dong owner for this upcoming season.
Enjoy it, Dave. It's nice. It's real nice.
I tell you what, I think it somehow brought me good luck into this season. So
Scott did take it.
There's a silver lining.
Yep. You've been holding on to it all season, Scott, and you're the number 1 seed. Is that a coincidence? Maybe. You bring up bragging rights in the consolation bracket, and Mario won last week, so he's technically the best of the worst. And during the week, during Sunday when me and Jason weren't scoring so many points, Mario was like, "Oh, see, if I'm in the playoffs, I'd have won. I'd have beat you guys." Drew Brees had like 4 points or something. Mario's out there bragging that he was beating Kyle. So, that was very interesting too, wasn't it?
Yeah, it makes for an interesting topic of discussion because I believe last time I looked, Mario was the second leading point scorer in the league.
Yep.
And he tied for 6th place. I think that could be something we talk about at next year's draft, seeing if we can adjust to maybe not prevent that from happening.
It's a possibility. We're not going to get too crazy.
No. This is just a weekly preview.
Sure.
We're focusing on the matchups.
You got to win, Scott. That's what it comes down to. You got to win. Win.
Winning solves everything. You would think that points scoring would go along with that. In Mario's case, sadly, it didn't.
It didn't.
That's fantasy football. She's a
crazy bitch.
Yeah, a crazy demon bitch some weeks.
Hit it. Oh, I thought you had music dialed up for...
Oh, I did. There's an ad. Oh. we really are prepared this week, as you can see.
Stupid technology.
Forget that. There's some more...
If you want to get 10% off your shipping gifts, you need to make sure to order before Saturday.
That's right. But in the meantime, here's some more chumba! Get knocked down. Oh, you don't want to hear me sing.
Alright, Scott, enough of that garbage.
Did you just refer to the chumba as garbage?
This isn't 1998, okay? So let's get into the playoffs. Before we get to the 2 main matchups, just a quick point out that Brad is playing Jason this week for 5th place.
Oh, yes. Quite a battle for 5th place it shall be.
You guys put up a good fight last week, but it just wasn't to be this year. Jason, your team's you're 1 year ahead. So maybe next year, if you draft those same guys, maybe you'll be good.
I'm still impressed that he made it to the playoffs, though.
Mm-hmm. He did a good job. He had a decent team. If he probably should have traded Giovanni Bernard all those trade offers that he had gotten for him. Should have traded him, but whatever.
Hindsight's 2020. I'm in another league. This will be quick.
Whoa.
I picked up LaShawn McCoy.
Easy.
Had a chance to ditch him back in week 9, week 10. Decided to hold on to him. Hasn't really paid off yet. Kind of wish I would have traded him away.
Do you guys not realize that there's only one league? Quit bringing your herpes and spreading it around in our league. Ridgeway's on the Facebook post. Whoa, I picked up Julio in my other league, and he did just great for me. Don't bring that.
Picked up Julio on the waiver wire? What? Is this like a 4-team league?
It's a 4-team against a bunch of 8-year-olds.
Okay.
So, people that are equal in stature to Matt Ridgeway.
Yeah. So anyway, back to this other league.
Before we get into our matchup, Scott, which is probably the biggest of the weekend, let's preview the 2 vs. 3 matchup, which is Brandon at 8-5 regular season record versus Aero 10-2, 10-3. I apologize, my bad. The previous matchup for these two teams was in Week 3, a long time ago. Aero won 105-73.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even remember Week 3. I barely remember the draft. So, I mean, I think a lot's changed since then. You know, Brandon has a whole new roster. He doesn't have Stafford anymore. Jimmy Graham's gone. You know, he brought in Randall Cobb.
Was Jimmy Graham his keeper?
It was.
Oh, wow.
It was, actually.
Yeah. Played pretty well for the first half of the season,
He
as I recall. But the Saints' offense this year has just been on a downward spiral.
Yep. I don't know if it has to do with that Jimmy Graham injury, but...
Drew Brees is not having his best season. I think it's fair to say. He's still putting up pretty respectable numbers, but they lost 4 games in a row at home, I believe. Last year they were 8-0 at home.
That's unheard of for the New Orleans Saints. Now, in their previous matchup, Jamal Charles was out, so Aero had Nile Davis. And then I think in Week 3, this was before Le'Veon Bell really started to break out. Now, Aero's roster is just, you look at it now on paper, and it's unstoppable, honestly. You know, you got Charles, Murray, Le'Veon Bell's just a workhorse right now, and even Justin Forsett is
he was quite the pickup.
He's really coming on. So,
I don't normally love the Ravens' defense start. However, they're playing Jacksonville.
This is true. Now, this happened once before this year where a team just loaded up against Jacksonville. I remember specifically back in Week 7, Jason went strong with the San Diego Chargers against Jacksonville. And he started the defense, quarterback, and receiver all against Jacksonville, and it bit him in the ass.
Yeah, it didn't really pay off that week.
No. And, I mean, Jacksonville, I guess San Diego and Baltimore are kind of the same team. You know, they're going to air it out, and the defenses are both formidable. Maybe the Ravens are better than the Chargers, but Nata is out now.
It's not an elite defense, though.
No, not like it used to be. So we'll see, Aero. I mean, the jinx of loading up against Jacksonville.
And loading up with running backs, I would say.
It's true.
Smith's kind of gone the other way with it. He's got a lot of prime-time receivers.
Yes, he does. He does. I mean,
Kenny Stills would not be one of them.
No.
He's a good young player.
Sure.
And he's definitely in a prime spot to do well this fantasy season, these playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't happen last week.
No. He's kind of been up and down. He'll have that one big week, and then he can get you 2 or he can get you 20.
The same can be said about your tight end, Jared Cook.
Well,
exploded last week for 2 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
This week came crashing down to earth for 2 points.
Yes. However, on the, I guess it's not really a bright side, maybe a good side is, of the 4 remaining teams, nobody really has an elite tight end.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Jimmy Graham isn't in the playoffs. Gronk isn't in. Julius Thomas isn't in. So we're kind of all, whoever we can pick up on the waiver wire that looks maybe the best matchup, you know, could determine a matchup.
Tight end's pretty much a dart throw at this point.
Yeah, it is. You know, you would think Owen Daniels would be somewhat reliable, given Gary Kubiak's offense. He's been in before, and their other tight end has been out for the whole season. You would think he'd have some value, but he's been garbage.
You just never know what to expect from that position.
We're just throwing darts. So, I mean, that could...
What's your prediction for that matchup? How do you think it's going to play
Everybody's tight ends are going to cancel out. I mean, like you said, Brandon does have the elite receivers. You know, Dez will probably have a comeback, bounce-back game. Antonio Brown's been solid all season. Randall Cobb's good for a touchdown or 2.
Yeah.
But I just think Aero's running backs are just, at this point in the season, they're just unstoppable. They're going to get 20 points apiece, and it's going to be over before halftime.
Okay. I think Aero's going to win, but it's more a product of his matchups. Now, I'm not saying that he doesn't have a great team.
Sure.
That stable of running backs is great, but I think NFL, it's a passing game. Normally, I like Smith's team a little better. However, looking at his matchups compared to Aero's, I mean, the projections, they say it all. Now, the projections aren't always right, as we know, and we could both be, you know, Smith's team could go up and we could both be wrong. Mm-hmm. But if I had to bet, I think Aero's probably going to take this one.
Yep. I mean, is it gonna be? Do you think it's gonna be close? I mean,
Oh yeah,
with
they're
Brandon's
two good teams.
With Brandon's start to the week with the Rams going, it's just kind of. I mean, the defense did
The Rams
respectable.
they disappointed a little bit though. 13 in this league, I feel like that's run of the mill.
Yeah, that's probably. I mean, like average.
Mm-hmm.
It's what good defense should get. But I mean, so we're looking at Aero trying to repeat as the first repeat champion of JaMar Cup League. However, Brandon could get in and he could go for his first championship also.
Exciting storylines, no matter which way you shake it.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell we're really thrilled about this matchup. It should be very exciting. So I feel like you're waiting here, Scott, to just throw out knowledge at me, because coming up is the matchup of the week. This has never happened before in preview video history, where one owner plays the other owner in the week that the video preview is being produced. So we're breaking ground here. This is history making.
You're all witnessing history.
This is history.
Take place.
Now you guys are sitting on your couches at home, be like, man, that'd be so cool if I could be there making history right now. I mean, look, there's couches back there, there's a chair over here. I mean, there's standing room everywhere. You guys could all be here witnessing history.
Yeah, December 12th, 2014 will go down as the day that magic happened here in this basement.
Boom. Now, it could
what's
happen.
more important
Yep.
right now?
What is more important? Maybe next year, Mario shows up the week that we play. This is not going to be the same because he'll be number 2. You're always coming in number 2, Mario. I'm sorry, I had to use you as an example just because it popped into my head. I mean, I could say Zach. Oh, Zach will come down, but Zach's got to drive a couple hours, so that's not going to happen.
You can't all avoid the video preview forever, guys.
Yeah.
At some point, you're going to be on here.
Yeah. I mean, I have Scott, Mario, and Jason. That's it. 4 out of 12 have been here on the hot seat. 4 out of 12. That's like 5%.
Yeah, I would certainly expect Ridge to come on here at some point. I mean, he gets grilled worse than anybody on this preview show.
Heck yeah, he does. Stand up for yourself, Matt. Which is probably what you'll have to do because I only have small chairs, so you'll have to stand up so we can see you. Okay? Anyway.
How do you feel about this matchup?
Well, let me give a formal introduction here first, Scott, and then we'll get into it because I feel good. I mean, they don't call me James Brown for nothing.
Well, your name's James Brown, so most people don't really have an option.
That's true. That's a good point. So here it is, the matchup of the week, pitting the number 4 seed, the Kumish, 8-5 regular season record, against the number 1 seed, Dongshank Redemption, 11-2. Now go ahead, Scott. Tell the people how you feel about this matchup.
I think how I feel about this matchup can best be described with this saying. He drinks a whiskey drink, drinks a vodka drink. He drinks a lager drink,
Okay.
he drinks a cider drink.
Ooh.
I'm not really sure where I was going with that.
It sounds
When you break it down, it's hard to decipher what those lyrics even mean.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I heard anything about football in there, but I mean, you could use that in a song. That'd be pretty catchy.
Yeah. I think what it means is that this is the season of the dong, the Dongshank Redemption, and James Brown and his little team are going to be just decimated to the tune of.
We'll sit here and wait for you to turn your computer on, Scott.
Man,
Yeah.
technical difficulties up in lawsuit. But anyway,
Scott, you ain't never gonna keep me down. And you know why? Because I've already been beaten by you. At one point, back in week 8, all the way in week 8, Scott won.
oh, so you're the one who's going to be trying to
With a blistering
get back
score.
up again.
That's right. I'm gonna get back up again, and I'm gonna knock you down. So our previous matchup was not close at all. It was 178 to 109, which I'm pretty sure is probably the highest score of the year. I think Mario might have had a 180, low 180s, but I mean, that's an ass kicking.
Any way you look at it.
Yep. No two ways to Sunday. It's an ass kicking. Now, however, my team has changed a lot since then. And I will point out that was my last loss, Scott. I'm on a nice little 6-game roll right now. But however, going back to my previous point was, I've changed the roster since then. I picked up Stafford because of his amazing playoff matchups. Thank you, Brandon.
Well, you also made another really important pickup this past week, too.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not forget about the running prowess of Toby Gerhart. I would really appreciate it if you insert him into your lineup this week.
Okay.
I think you should do it. I think he's got a chance.
Let's make a deal right here. Who would you like me to take out to put Toby Gerhart in for?
Mike Evans, kind of a bum. I wouldn't start him if I were you.
Okay.
He's been just dragging this season.
He was on my bench the last time we played, so that's probably where he'll be this time.
That Dallas secondary, that's a group you just don't want to mess with, James.
Nope.
I wouldn't chance it. I think Toby Gerhart, he's a lock for 4 carries, a catch out of the backfield. His ceiling,
23 points is what you're talking about,
and his floor are basically
the same.
Yeah.
Well, then I got to play him then, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. I don't see any way around it.
Now you bring up an interesting point there, Scott. The last time we played was before Mike Evans exploded onto the scene of football. Just exploded. He's averaging like 2 touchdowns and 30 yards since then. So,
according to the experts at ProFootballFocus.com, he's been the best rookie receiver.
No, you can say best wide receiver. That's fine.
Well, the reason I didn't say that is because I'm basing it off nothing. But if you say, according to Pro Football Focus, it makes you sound like you know what you're talking about. But no, you look at the numbers. He's been a beast. He had one stinker against the Bengals in Week 13. But other than that, it's been just double-digit point efforts across the board.
It has. He's coming on at the right time. Just like my team, we're peaking at the right time, and we're going to try to push through. Now, Scott, you scored the 180 points the last time, but you don't have Chris Ivory this time. He accounted for 23 points that matchup.
Don't have Kyrie Robinson.
Nope. And, do you really think Arian Foster is going to get 3 touchdowns and 150 yards this week? It's a good matchup. It harkens me back to his rookie season. His first game ever was against the Colts, and he went for 230 and 3 touchdowns.
That was a Peyton Manning-led Colts team,
That's
mind
true.
you. It wasn't Houston. There's a slight disadvantage played on the road.
Mm-hmm.
However, what I've noticed from Foster this season is, regardless of the game flow, regardless of the opponent, he's still managed to produce outside a couple outlier performances that were somewhat affected by injury.
Mm-hmm. And that could be. Here the last few weeks, your team's kind of been. You're not scoring the 130 points like you had been, and I feel like that's because Foster's been out.
Yeah.
So do you feel like your team is hinging on Arian Foster's performance?
Well, let's not forget about Mr. Luck, who last time I checked was still the leading fantasy point getter.
Yes.
And then the X Factor, who I definitely wanted to talk about, Mr. Dante Moncrief, who yours truly has taken a liking to, giving me a hard time about on more than one occasion. It happened back in
2 or 3 times.
Week 13.
Oh yeah.
And then this past, or no.
It
happened when I lost to Kyle by a 10th of a point.
Mm-hmm.
And then and at that point it was totally warranted. He scored he had 2 yards receiving that game. That's not going to get it done. But then it happened back in Week 13.
Yep.
Scott picks up Moncrief. Here comes James.
Let's play him.
Whoa.
Hell yeah, you're going to play him.
What's your deal with this guy? And then, halfway through the noon games of that Sunday, Moncrief is,
His 0
not even
for
recorded
0.
a snap at that point.
0 for 0. And I'm like, oh, hell yeah, you play him,
That was a great pick. That was a
him.
great pick, Scott.
Mm-hmm.
Great pickup. Well, needless to say...
spoke too soon.
Yeah. Now, he only had 3 catches.
Foot-mouth disease.
But he turned those into 150 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Hell yeah, he did. So he's destined for a fallback, is what you're saying.
Well, that was last week, I'm hoping.
Mm-hmm.
And Reggie Wayne, Dave, can speak volumes about the greatness that Reggie Wayne was this season. But
yep.
I think it's time he's going to take a backseat to the rookie, and
it's time.
And the matchup is semi-friendly, so I think he's going to do well.
Yeah. So who else you got over there, Scott? I don't usually have a script for this thing, but
I have the dumpster fire that is Pierre Garçon still lurking on my bench. I don't think I'm going to play him, especially if RG3 is going to get the nod at quarterback.
I mean, you should probably just load up on your Indianapolis guys. Put your tight end in there. Throw a dart. Could be this week.
We'll see. We'll just have to see. He's not. Mm-hmm. His stat lines look better than he plays on the field, if that makes any sense.
That guy. I remember him from the last time. Sammy Watkins had pretty much had 2 touchdowns. He got tackled at at one point, but might as well have scored. Just rub it in a little bit more. But I'll tell you what, Scott. My team is we're a little down with Brandon Marshall out, but he hasn't been the Brandon Marshall of yesteryear, which was last year. He's had 2 good games, so we're a little down. That kind of put a chink in our armor, but I think we're on a roll right now.
When it comes down to it, you're going to need LaShawn McCoy to produce.
Yep. Well, he's not playing Seattle this week, so
that helps.
I feel like going against Dallas. I mean, he's probably good for like 306 touchdowns. Right, Matt Ridgway? You ever heard of her? You heard of her? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Oh, you don't know.
That's good because I don't have any clue.
Well, let me give you the quick rundown. Matt Ridgway posted a meme, if you will, on the internet about DeMarco Murray and LaShawn McCoy. Never heard of her was the picture. I'm like, please, LaShawn McCoy is way better than DeMarco Murray. For real. Feel me?
This season?
Yeah. What about it? Go on.
It's a funny meme. I'll give him that.
Oh, it's meme? I thought it was.
I don't know. I
thought it was meme. Well, Scott, we're dragging on here. We're at like 30 minutes, so pretty sure we've lost everybody by now. But I mean, my prediction is I'm going to get to the championship game for the 4th time in 5 years. At that point, I don't care if I lose because it'll just be cool to have lost it 4 times. So I'm going to win. I don't care if it's close or not. I'm going to win.
Well, best of luck to you, sir.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll play out as it should, and we'd just like to thank you all for tuning in this week to the JaMar Cup weekly preview.
Yep. Playoffs. Round 2. Next week's the championship. You guys believe that already? We're almost done, Scott. I mean, I'm already planning next year's draft. That's how far along we are.
It's been a good season. It's been a fast season.
It has.
One that will
it always goes so
kickstart the heart, if you will.
You guys can't tell, but that's me. That wasn't like the studio recording. That was actually me. So I know you're confused, but Scott, may the odds ever be in your favor this week. Good luck, sir.
We're gonna need it.
And for the rest of you, we'll be back here next week for the championship preview. Suppose we should end it now, Scott. We're signing off now.